When the 500 series Polaris cards from AMD launched about a month ago, debate raged on the internet forums about the necessity of this type of product. Was this a rebranding, a rebadging, something slightly new, something entirely new, or just the exact same RX 480 we've been using for the past 10 months? There were even tinfoil hat rumors that AMD was releasing this card to distract from the fact that Vega hadn't yet been released and was delayed. They weren't, and it's not. The truth to the matter is that while there are some real changes under this enormous twin Frozer shroud, this is not being sold as a replacement or upgrade to your existing RX 480. If you have one of those, or even a slightly older R9 390, feel free to sit tight until Vega launches or you decide to make the jump to the green team. For everyone else though, is the RX 580 a better overall choice than the 480? We'll take a look at that question today. The first thing you'll notice when shopping around for an RX 580 is that there are actually more AIB models available now than there were for the 480. There is also only one company currently producing a card with a reference cooler design, and that's MSI. This was a carryover from the RX 480's blower cooler, but all the other cards on the market right now feature custom coolers. You'll also notice that manufacturers are offering not only their normal range of reference PCB designs and also boards with beefed up power delivery, but in addition a third tier of cards with maximum overclocking capability. We have the Strix Top OC, XFX GTRS Black Edition, Gigabyte's Aorus card, this MSI Gaming X Plus, and more. These cards are all being advertised with boost clocks over 1400 MHz, which is a monumental increase over the clock speeds offered on any RX 480. AMD was a little coy with how they were able to achieve these kinds of clock speeds on what is essentially the same Polaris die, but they did say that the manufacturing process has been refined. The chips used in these speedy cards have been binned and are verified to be able to hit the rated speeds and more. In order to ensure that you as an end user are able to extract all the promised extra performance out of these cards, manufacturers have gone to great lengths to squeeze extra power phases and chokes onto these PCBs, and the cooler designs are just enormous. This MSI RX 580 Gaming X Plus card runs at a TDP of 185 watts at stock speeds and easily breaks through the 200 watt battery when overclocked. In order to keep up with this enormous power draw for a mid-range card, you'll need two 8-pin power connectors available, and MSI recommends a minimum PSU spec of 500 watts. The cooler itself features 8mm heat pipes, an enlarged backplate for extra passive cooling, and an enormous heatsink that runs the entire length of the card under the fans. The cooler design also incorporates a steel reinforcement that connects to the direct contact memory cooling plate and prevents the card from sagging when installed in a PCIe slot. All of this adds up to a base clock of 1256 MHz and a boost clock that maxes out at 1441. These are impressive numbers for a Polaris card, but I wasn't satisfied. I spent a few hours with the 580 Gaming X Plus card on my test bench just playing around with settings in MSI Afterburner, pushing the core, memory, and power limit higher and adjusting the voltage accordingly. I maxed out at an incredible 1550 MHz with a 200 MHz overclock on the memory as well. This boosted performance significantly, as we'll see in just a minute, but it also cranked the test bench's power draw up to about 400 watts, which is right about where my 1080 Ti sits at load. If you want Polaris and you want the best performance, you're going to have to deal with the heat and extra power requirements. The heat was sufficiently dissipated by the twin Frozer cooler once I dialed in a more aggressive fan curve, and the card sat in the mid-70s at load even when overclocked. But as this is a recycling cooler design, that means that all of the heat is going to get dumped into your chassis. So you're going to need a way to deal with it. So how does this translate into gaming performance? Here are some comparisons with the Gigabyte RX 480 G1 Gaming and also a GTX 1060 Founders. So as you can see, the RX 580 is now the fastest card in this segment, especially if you opt for one of the high-end versions. Do note, however, that cards like the MSI Gaming X Plus are going for a $30 to $40 price premium over the base 580s. But the extra performance, better cooling, and additional features that these cards are offering seems well worth it. Overall, the 580 seems like it's about 10, maybe 15% faster than the RX 480, depending on the task. So if you're building a new system now, it would make little sense to choose the slower card, unless you could score a really good deal and the savings are worth it. The 580 goes toe-to-toe with the GTX 1060, and with more VRAM and better support for new APIs like Vulkan and DX12, AMD has a real winner on its hands. Let's hope the streak continues with Vega, which is due to launch before the end of June. So what do you guys think of the MSI RX 580 Gaming X Plus? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video with that button down there, and get subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Thanks for watching, guys, as always, and I'll see you next time.